Hi guys, and welcome to or welcome back to the No Gluten Zone. Today is a video I've been wanting to film for a very long time. This is a gluten-free and dairy-free gingerbread house, and I believe it's nut-free as well, and I'm sure you can make other accommodations as well. So stick around and I will show you not only how to make this particular recipe, but there are a lot of tips and tricks to have a very successful gingerbread house, even if you use your own recipe that's different from mine. I just want to interrupt your video for one quick moment. YouTube is telling me that the majority of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. So if that's you, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I would like to ask you to please consider hitting the subscribe button. It's totally free. And if you hit the bell icon, you will be notified of videos I upload in the future. And if you enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. That really helps me plan my content in the future. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Now back to your video. So we are going to start here with 1/2 cup of shortening and 1/2 cup of sugar. We're just going to cream that together with the mixer. I do use Spectrum brand shortening because it's not hydrogenated fats and it's healthy, but use whatever type of shortening you normally use. You could probably also use butter or a butter alternative, but I always use shortening for this. Okay, our shortening and sugar are creamed together really well. I'm going to add to that an egg. This is just one whole egg that I have lightly beaten, and I do use a room temperature egg. It is highly recommended, at least with gluten-free baking, that when you add eggs, you always use room temperature egg. Just a handy tip. I'm also going to add 4 tablespoons of molasses, and 4 tablespoons is also a 1/4 cup if you want to measure it that way. Okay, we're going to mix this up until it's nice and smooth. Just going to scrape down the shortening to make sure it combines really well. Okay, this is really well combined now. Now we're going to add the contents of this bowl that I mixed earlier in here. And in this bowl, I have 1.5 cups of my brown rice flour mix. And I do have a video on the recipe to make that, and I will link it down in the description box. I have 1/2 cup of sweet rice flour. This one's a little hard to get. I usually have to order it online. And if you can't get it or don't want to get it, just replace it with the brown rice flour mix or a rice flour on its own, whether it's white rice or brown rice. The sweet rice flour just gives it a nicer texture. It's in a lot of my cookie recipes and I love it. This is like a gingerbread cookie basically. So it is in this recipe, especially if you're not planning to eat this. Some people eat it and some people don't. But if you're not, then don't worry about the texture of it and just replace it with either the brown rice flour mix or a brown rice flour or white rice flour. I also have 1/2 teaspoon of, I used guar gum, you can use xanthan gum or whatever, psyllium husk. One very important point when you're making a gingerbread house is to leave out the leavening agent. So it's usually baking soda in gingerbread. Leave it out. When my first couple times I made a gingerbread house, they were complete fails. And one of the biggest issues is I rolled it out flat, I cut out the pieces, but when I baked them, they would puff up and they would puff up with very rounded edges. And then you couldn't put them together. They didn't fit together properly because they were a big puffy rounded edge. For a gingerbread man or a gingerbread cookie, like you totally want that. That's really nice. But for the house, you don't want it puffing. So you leave out the baking soda for sure. And then I just have the spices in here. So there's 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add this to our shortening, sugar, molasses, and egg mixture over here. This is pretty well combined here. So you just want to scrape all of it off of your beater. So I'm going to just scrape it out onto a sheet of parchment paper. And as you can see, it's a very wet and sticky dough. Anytime you're handling a wet or sticky dough, it's really helpful if you either moisten your hands with water or with oil. So I'm using water, and I just want to pat this into a sort of a roundish shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to flatten it out a little. You could use a rolling pin, but right now it doesn't need to be perfect or anything. So I'm just going to use my hand. If my hands were not moist with water or oil, it would totally be sticking to my hands. And when it starts to stick, then you need to re-moisten. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up with saran wrap. I'm gonna leave it on the parchment and wrap it with saran wrap, and I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator for 1 hour, and I will meet you back here in an hour. That helps it to firm up because it's super soft and moist and sticky. Putting it in the refrigerator is gonna let that shortening get a little firmer, and it will be a little easier to roll it out and work with it. So I'm going to stick this in the refrigerator, and I will meet you back here in 1 hour. Okay, I'm back. It's been an hour. This has been in the refrigerator chilling. It's firmer, but it's still soft. You could leave it longer than an hour, and some of it is play by ear. See how it is. Is it too soft? Is it too hard? But if you need to leave it in there for longer than an hour, it might be too hard. You might have to let it sit out for a little bit. If while you're working with it, it's getting too soft to work with, then you want to put it back in the refrigerator for a little while. So just something to keep in mind as you work with the dough. So I'm going to open it up. And right off the bat, I'm going to cut this in half and start working with half only. That way it's not getting too soft while I'm working. So I'm going to put this half back in the refrigerator while I work on this half. So it's nice and soft, but it's moldable. Before it was just kind of a big gooey mess. So I didn't grow up with gingerbread in my house anytime, but especially for Christmas. I'm just going to start rolling this out. And when my son was young, let me put a towel under this to keep it from sliding all over the place. That's better. When my son was young, he was asking for gingerbread man, gingerbread house, and I really had no idea how to do those things. I mean, I've always been a baker, but that was never on my radar. Not a big fan of ginger in general, I have to say. So I got a recipe. We were already gluten-free at that point. And I got a recipe and I started trying, and I got cookie cutters to make a gingerbread house. I just saw them on an end cap at Michael's. It's a craft store in case it's not in your area. And I thought they would all be the same. Well, that first year, the house was a complete fail. Would not stay standing. And my son was so kind and so gracious and said, but it still tastes good, mommy. And so I was like, there you go. But the next year, still didn't go very well. And I was pretty frustrated. And I was determined to figure this out and be able to produce a decent gingerbread house. The gingerbread men were no problem at all. But the house was really killing me. So I learned to use royal icing as my cement instead of buttercream. That may be a no-brainer for some of you, but I had no idea. I had never made royal icing, so I was trying to hold it together with buttercream frosting. That didn't work. But then I also realized that my cutters, I don't think they were right at all. The roof was massive. It was really, this way and this way. It was just huge. It was like all roof with these little tiny short walls. And I don't think, no matter what I did, it just could not support that roof. So I threw out that cutter. So part of my success was throwing out that cutter, using royal icing, and some other tips that I'm going to share with you coming up too. Oh, and leaving out the leavening, the baking soda. And I still have some more tips coming that will help you be successful with your gingerbread house. So hang in there. And if you have not rolled out dough before, you want to mostly just push from the center out in all directions, and don't roll much on the edges. The edges are always really thin. They don't need to be pushed and rolled. So you just kind of push out and lift up, out and lift up, just in case you have not worked with rolling out doughs before. And I like to, so it doesn't get super stuck on the parchment, I like to lift it, flip it, lift it, and just to keep it from getting really, really stuck. Another thing that helped me be successful is rolling the roof pieces super thin as you can, and keeping your walls a little bit thicker, not super thick, but a little thicker to give them some more support and strength to hold up that roof. So I'm rolling this pretty thin. I'll probably just cut the roof pieces here. Some people make their own templates, like out of cardboard, and they lay the cardboard down and they cut with a knife around it. You can totally do that. I am not that ambitious. I prefer to stick with the cookie cutters. But my son has, for the last few years, sort of just free-handed like trucks. He loves cars and trucks, and he's done different gingerbread trucks each year. And I'm not sure if he's going to do one this year or what he's going to do, but I think that's a really cool tradition. So the edges are quite thin and they're kind of sticky in here, but I managed. Okay, so this is quite thin. I'm going to go ahead and cut the roof pieces out of this. And this is the cutter I have. I've been using this ever since I threw out that first one after the first couple of years, and it's been really good. It's Cookie Fun, but cookie is spelled K-U-K-I. I will look and see. I don't remember if I got this on Amazon or if I got it in a store, but I will look on Amazon. If it's there, I will link it. So let's see. These are the walls. You can tell because they line up here with the roof. I mean, yeah, where the roof is going to go up there. So this is the roof piece. And it will be like so. Yep. So I'm going to try to get two pieces here. So I'll get one here and one here. That's going to be perfect, actually. I hope you can't hear that. My dog, my black lab puppy, is over there just snoring away like super loud. She snores like a pig. She is part pig. So if you can hear that, my apologies, but it's just my puppy. So I get it all the way through. I really push it down. So now I'm going to just take all the outside part out. a little bit stuck on here. I'm just going to use a butter knife to get a nice clean straight edge. Okay, so this is what I have left from this half. I still have the other half of dough in there. And I'm going to leave this on the parchment and just lift it with this to the cookie sheets, which I have here waiting for me behind me. That way you don't pick them up and mess them up. And when you do lift it, you want to be really gentle. I'm actually going to cut it down a little bit smaller. But I do this pretty much with any cookie that I'm cutting out with cookie cutters. I just leave them on the parchment and transfer them to the cookie sheet on the parchment. Like so. Just lift it very, very carefully so you're not messing up the shape. Okay, I'm going to roll this out and see what I can get out of it. I don't want it super thin like the roof. That's pretty thin already. So basically you're doing two of these, a front and back, and then two sides, and then the two roof pieces. So two of each of these. So I could get one of these or one of these basically out of this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. And always check. One side is the sharper side and one is rounded. You won't get a good clean cut if you use the rounded one. And another tip, you can always leave the cutter on and pull away your dough so you don't have those little stragglers sticking to the edge. Just roll the dough off. And then I have this little assortment of little pieces. And I also like to use, we have these two different diameter sized stainless steel straws. So I like to use all of these to make decorations on it. And you can either punch them all the way through to make a hole in it, or you can just lightly make imprints on it. And those will stay after it's baked. So I'm gonna make this the front and I'm gonna put a door. And I like to keep the door and have it standing there open. So I'm trying to I don't know. It's a little too soft. Okay, so the door didn't want to cooperate. Sometimes when I lift up the cutter, it'll just be like right there in it, stuck in it. So I'm actually going to add more dough to it and just push it into the cutter. And just flatten it out evenly. So on the door, I like to do just an imprint of a doorknob using the straw. Sometimes I'll cut it all the way through, but most of the time I just do the imprint of a doorknob. I am happy with that. And then I think with the smaller diameter, I'm just going to do a little design, just a little imprint design. Okay, and then I like to cut a circle out above the door, and then I decorate it with the royal icing into a wreath. I do green and red. So it didn't come out in the cutter. Sometimes it will. So then I'm just going to scrape it out with very gently with a butter knife. Okay, I'm going to transfer this to the cookie sheet. This piece has gotten really small, so I'm going to pull out the other half and add it to it and finish up. So I just need the back wall and then the two sides. Okay, I'm going to do the back wall. So I'm going to do a star window. And I think I'll just leave the imprint because it's not coming out. That's a difficult shape to pick out. I think I'll do two little rectangle windows. What I can do is, if it's not sticking in your cutter and coming out, hold the cutter there and put a butter knife inside and pull it out. But that's too difficult with the star shape. But for this rectangle window, I can totally do that. So you kind of have to see how your dough is and how it's behaving and then work with it. And I'm going to do one more. So turkey vulture soaring around right out the window here. Some of you know that I'm really into photography, especially wildlife and especially birds. And I have an Instagram account where I post my pictures. And I actually just started a photography account on YouTube as well. But this is still my main account. I love this account. So my main focus and input will be here. Don't think I'm bailing out for photography. I do love photography. It's my other passion, or one of my passions, but it will not be my main account. This will always be my love, my first love account and my main focus here. Okay, so we have the front and the back, we have the roof. Now we just need the two side walls. Whenever I start a gingerbread house every year, I guess because I only do it once a year, it feels like such a daunting task. It's such a big thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I just take it one step at a time, make the dough, chill the dough, roll out the dough, bake the dough. And then there's more steps coming, but you just take it one step at a time in case you're feeling this way. And then it's easy. It's really no harder than making cookies with cookie cutters. Getting it to stand up can be a little bit challenging, but I'm going to share tips that help you. This edge got a little too thin and it's really sticking to the parchment. So what I do, I put it back down, rubbed it out, and then I went ahead and peeled from a different corner, and that was thin too, but I was just super careful. And I saved it just from ripping. But if it sticks and it rips, just put it back together and roll it again. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we need this side wall piece. And I think I can get both of them on here. I always check ahead of time and see how I need to position it. So go over here, do this one. And yeah, I'll do the second one down here. The downside to doing them on one piece is you can't just hold the cutter there and peel the dough away, because you don't want to mess it up for the second one, but it's okay. So I do have some extra dough to offer to my son if he wants to make his truck. I don't like to use this dough to make gingerbread men because it doesn't have the baking soda. It's just nicer when they have that. And I'm going to put some windows here. On one of them, I'll do 2 rectangles. And I already know this dough is a little bit wet. I think the molasses was a little thinner than it normally is. So that's probably why it's a little wetter than it usually is. But I just accommodate it instead of fighting it. And then on this one, I do normally do the cross, but that's gonna be, I could just do an imprint of a cross, I guess, in the middle, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to pull that dough out the way it is this year. So there we go. We'll do a little imprint. And then I think I'll do 2 circle windows, 1 on each side. Pull that out. Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna bake those in the oven about 10 minutes. I'm gonna keep an eye on them and check them, and I'll be back. Okay guys, I'm back, and this is all done baking. I have the 2 roof pieces, the front, the back, the door, and the 2 side walls. So it's kind of late today. I'm just gonna let these sit overnight, cool down, and get as hard as they can. And then tomorrow I am going to re-bake them and get them even harder and stronger and more durable so they don't collapse while they're on display. And then we will proceed from there. Hi guys, and welcome back. This is day 2. So what I'm gonna do now, this has been sitting out cooling overnight. I'm gonna bake this at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 more minutes. This just dries it out a little bit more and gives it a little more strength so it doesn't collapse when you put it together, especially having the weight of the roof on it. Sometimes the walls can collapse. So this is just gonna add a little more strength to it. It is optional, but I do it every year and it has always worked really well, so I highly recommend it. So 10 minutes in the oven. Okay, so I baked these at 250 degrees for 10 more minutes. Now the next step is also totally optional, but I really recommend it if you really want to wow people with your gingerbread house. This is a cool and pretty easy way to do it. So I have these butterscotch disc candies. Any butterscotch candy will do. Brock's is like the most famous, but whatever you can get, you get these and then you crush them up. I have some that are already crushed, but what I do is I put them in a food storage bag. Sometimes I double it, and I use a meat tenderizer, but I use the flat side. They typically have a flat side and like a pointy side. If I use the pointy side, it usually just rips holes in my bag. So I like to use the flat one and just pound them out, crush them into little fragments. I will add that these have horrible ingredients. There's artificial flavors and artificial colors. We don't eat this. We just use it purely for decoration. But some people are okay with eating that, and that's okay. Just a side note, because a lot of people do know that in my house we don't eat anything artificial, flavors, colors, preservatives, etc. So I'm just making that point because some people are going to be like, wait a minute. So we don't actually eat this. So these are leftovers from a previous year. I have all my gingerbread house stuff stored away and I pull it out every year. And basically you're going to put it into the windows. Okay, so I just put that into the open window spots. And I'm gonna put this back in the oven. I have turned the oven up to 350 degrees and it's gonna go back in there. I'm gonna set the timer for 5 minutes, but you need to eyeball this. Sometimes it does take longer than 5 minutes. So set it for 5 and then take a look at it, and you're looking for it to melt. I'll show you when it's done. Okay, so our butterscotch has melted into the windows. That actually took me 10 minutes, but I say I check it at 5 and eyeball it. So it's gonna cool down now and get solid and stay in the windows. So the oven is off. We don't have any more baking to do. Now I'm gonna let this cool down. I'm gonna start making the royal icing and then we will assemble this. So I'm gonna let it cool down and I'm gonna start making the royal icing. Royal icing is a little bit tricky because it can dry out and get really hard. And obviously that's why we use it here. We want it to dry out and get hard and hold like a cement, right? But it can do that while you're working with it. So you need to be careful, but I'm gonna make a batch. The only way I have ever made royal icing is with this Wilton meringue powder. I'm actually wanting to look and find like an actual recipe. Many years ago, before I was gluten-free, my Mother's Day gift when my son was really, really little was a cake decorating class. And it was a Wilton cake decorating class at a Michael's store near me. And it was a great class. I learned so much. I didn't know anything about decorating cakes. I just like to bake. And I learned so much. It was just the very first intro buttercream frosting class. And they had us use this and shortening to make your frosting. There's actually no butter in it. So on my own, over time, I stopped using their recipe. I do make a real buttercream now that has butter and it does not have this. But for royal icing, I still had some of this left. And for royal icing, I didn't know how to do it. So I was using this and I think I'm going to try to find another way. It does have a disclaimer on it that it's made in a facility that also processes milk, soy, wheat, peanut, tree nuts, fish, and shellfish. I will say I have tested it with my NEMA sensor and it was gluten-free, and I have had my gluten detection dog check it and she says it's gluten-free. So from that standpoint, I think it's fine. I just don't really like the ingredients. It has way down at the bottom of the list, there is artificial flavor, there are preservatives. These are things we normally don't eat. So my son really doesn't eat the royal icing, he just eats the gingerbread part, but I would prefer to find a better recipe. If you have one, let me know. But for this year, I will be using this. So it is 4 cups of powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons of this meringue powder. So it's a very small amount, is why I kind of do tolerate it. And then it's 5 tablespoons of warm water. And then we're gonna mix that in here for 7 to 10 minutes or so. So this is not boiling water, I know it's in a kettle. The kettle was heated a few hours ago to boiling. It's just warm now. The kettle says it's at 116 degrees. So it's warm, but not hot or boiling. So there's my 5 tablespoons of warm water. And I'm just going to run this for 7 to 10-ish minutes until it forms peaks. Okay, so this was 7 minutes on medium-ish speed, and it looks like that. I'm wearing gloves because I'm going to color some of it, and the coloring does stain. So whenever I work with coloring, I use disposable bowls, disposable spoons, and I wear gloves, so I don't have to worry about staining. So I typically need a very small amount of red. A little more for the green. And I leave the rest white. And I always use disposable frosting bags. So it makes life so much easier, but especially with this because it gets hard. I do remember when I took my cake decorating class that my teacher said a lot of people who work with both buttercream and royal icing on a regular basis have like 2 completely different sets of, tips and bags and just everything that touches their frostings, because you don't want anything oily to get near this royal icing. It will break it down. So you want to make sure everything is super clean and oil free. So the way I learned to do this is to put this, I forget the name of this part, but this is what goes at the tip of your bag inside, and then on the outside you put your tip that you're gonna use and you screw the little thing over it to hold it on. So I put that inside the bag, get it all the way down in there, and then I take scissors and I go around just a little. I just kind of score it, and then it comes right off. Because, I used to try to cut the tip and then put this in there, and it was like sometimes I cut it too big or too small, and it was just so annoying. So I have started doing it like that, and it's fantastic. Just going to lay a towel over these so they don't get hard. And then I like to put this over a cup. That way it stands up while I'm working with it. So I like to twist it off so that you get the air out of here. And then I use rubber bands to close it off. And then I'm going to cover it with a towel just to help it not get dry. Okay, I'm going to color my red. And so what I like to do is I actually like to use the handle of a plastic spoon. It fits in here really well. This is Christmas Red by Wilton. And I dip it in here and I try to shake it off and keep this clean in case I need to get more color. Let's see, this spoon is clean right now, so I can do this, but after this I won't be able to do it. So I'm going to mix it in here. And see, I did get some on my hand, just a little bit right now, but that would be staining my skin if I wasn't wearing the gloves. Okay, I think we're pretty well mixed here. Okay, I'm going to put this with the white. back under the towel. And now we're going to color the green. This is leaf green. There probably is like a Christmassy green, but I actually really like this shade of green. Okay, so here we have our green, our red, and our white royal icing. I'm going to keep it covered until I'm ready for it. So you need something to set your house upon. I like to use a cake board. I usually use a square one, but I don't have one right now, so I'm going to use this round one. They have rectangular ones. You could even use a really nice platter if you have a nice platter. Whatever. You could even cut a piece of cardboard off of a box and use that. So whatever you want to use. And it has cooled down. You can see the pretty yellow in the window from the butterscotch candy. So I'm going to start with the white, and I'm actually not even going to put a tip because I'm going to just do my base on the bottom. You want to decide kind of where you're going to put it. So I'm going to put this here. So I apply some to the house and then some on the cake board, and then I push it into it. And I really like it because I really like using the white here because it looks like snow. It looks like it just snowed around this house. And so I'm gonna just help it stand up with these cans. I almost forgot, and I always have a hard time remembering this. I put lights inside, and so I need to run the cord out the back. So I'm going to lift this up and run the cord. And put it back down. Some years I'm prepared enough to do a little cutout to run it through even better. I have always wished I could find a light like this, just a little one to put in there that I could just plug in. This one runs on a battery, and I have had to change the battery. I feel like I use it less because I'm worried about the battery. If I could just plug it in or put it on a timer in the like plugged into the wall, it would be so much easier. But I haven't yet found one like that. But I can put a link to this one. If it's still available, I will put a link in the description box below. I'm going to do the next wall. So it's going to go right there. Oopsie. So let me show you what I have so far. We have the 4 walls standing and the front door. That's how I like to do the front door, just at an angle open. The light is was in my way, so I just propped it up here on this can for now. The little switch is out the back. So I'm gonna let this sit and dry really well before I put the roof on. But this is the bulk of the job right here is done. I had bought many years ago, I bought a pack of these little styrofoam cones, and I like to use them to make a little Christmas tree on here. Sometimes I'll have like a bigger one, smaller one, but this is my very last one. I need to get another pack of these, and I'll show you what I do. Put a little royal icing there, and then I put some here. And I'm gonna just let that dry. And then we will decorate it when I decorate the house. Hi guys, okay, it is several hours later, and this is very dried. I'm gonna take this can out and just leave the light laying in there. So I'm gonna put the roof on, and I have cut these from the past and used them to sit them here and hold the edges so it will stay up for sure while it dries. I do recommend doing that if you plan to make these over and over again. So it's gonna go like this. There we go, right there. That will hold it. And then on this side, that will help hold it. Okay. You can put this directly on the roof if you want. Sometimes it's easier just to put it here to get it in the exact right spot. Okay, I'm gonna give this some time to sit and harden up, and then all we have left to do is decorating. Hello and welcome back. Okay, once again, several hours have passed, and now I'm ready to decorate this gingerbread house. This is where you know that I started this really early this morning, and yes, I did. That way I could get it all done in one day. You can totally split this over several days if you have the time or want to or need to. But let's get to this. So I'm going to take these out, and I keep these. I use these every year. This is one of my favorite things for decorating. This, I think it's called a practice board, and it does have several sheets in here with very specific types of things that you might want to be doing. And you can actually, put the paper you want down, and it tells you what tip to use and everything, and you can practice on here. You can also just take all the papers out and practice right on it, blank, like this. And then you can scrape it off and put it back and use it, still use it. You're not wasting your frosting at all. And you can also just wash this off. It is totally plastic and washable. So this is my favorite thing when I'm trying to decide which tip I want to use. But full disclaimer first, I am not a great decorator. I am a great baker, yes, but when it comes to decorating, I do pretty good with cupcakes, but pretty much everything else is not great. I'm just full disclaimer here. You're gonna look at this and be like, whoa, that's not professional. And I'm not a professional baker. I do love to bake. I am very good at baking, but when it comes to decorating, that is my weak area. And I'm going to try out some tips using this to decide which one I want to use right now. Okay, I like this one. Just want a slight tilted angle here, so I'm going to prop it up on this plate. Probably the most fun thing is making this Christmas tree. I just love it. So you want to start at the bottom and you just put it on and kind of pull off. It's a little bit hard to get the back side that's up against the house. And I do know that some people like to just put candies all over their gingerbread house. You can totally do that. I just can't find candies that are gluten-free and have decent ingredients that I feel comfortable using. So I've just, and like I said before, I didn't grow up making gingerbread houses. So my tradition has always been just to use royal icing. So there's the tree. I'm gonna let it dry. And if you have one of those cake decorating tables that spin and tilts, you can totally use that too. I do have one that spins, but it doesn't, I don't have the tilting one. But that would be really good for this. But I improvise. I think that's it for the green. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done. I just like to take the last of the white and kind of spread it around on the ground and try to make it look like snow. You could also totally sprinkle powdered sugar on the roof to make it look like snow too. And then kind of spread it out with a knife a little bit. Okay, so it's pretty much done. I'm just gonna let it sit and get really hardened up and firm. It'll be crunchy, and I will come back in a few hours when it's dark. It's already getting a little dark when it's dark, and I'll turn the light on inside and let you see how that looks, because I think that just looks fantastic. The yellow butterscotch candies in the window, the light inside, and the little tree are really the three things that just make it for me, that I absolutely love. So I hope this video was informative, helpful, enjoyable to watch perhaps, and I hope you give this a try. I know it can seem like a really daunting task and a really impossible task, but it's really not if you break it down and take it one step at a time. And you don't have to do all the things that I do. I've been doing this for quite a few years now, more than 10 years, I'm pretty sure, and they have improved over time. I didn't start doing it this way. So I encourage you to at least give it a shot. Have a great day, guys, and God bless you.